In this video, I'm going to answer a few questions that I got over email from Juliana Barros. She's working on some sort of project and needed to ask someone that she looks up to some questions about their career. So I figured I'd make this a public document for anyone to enjoy if you're interested. And so these are 5 questions about how I got started and the pros and cons of an audiovisual career. So I'm just going to run through them very quickly. So number 1 is, what made you start your career in audiovisual? Was it a field that you had already longed for, or did you find out that you liked it during university? That's a great question, and it's one that I think as I look backwards, I start to see moments in my life where it makes sense now. It makes sense that I do audiovisual work. And I think I look back to when I was a kid and I used to take my parents' old Hi-8 tape camera and I would get my Star Wars action figures and I would make little movies. And then when I got my first digital camera, I would put together little video clips with the digital camera that could only take 30-second clips. Even before that, I used to use PowerPoint to create skate videos. Not really videos, but they would be PowerPoint presentations with graphics and sound and music. And then I would just take photos that I believe I would scan into the computer from a magazine, and then I would make a slideshow with that. But really, I think I realized I loved audiovisual work when I was in high school, before college, before university, because I started my own local TV show. Now, it wasn't a really big deal. I submitted a tape and they accepted it, and we did a show every week for 3 years. It was a sports talk show. It was actually a baseball talk show. We talked just about baseball, and I learned about being in front of the camera, being behind the camera, and that's how I fell in love with making videos. And from that experience, I applied to universities that had film programs. And so I got into a few, and I decided to go to Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. It's one of the top 10 ranked film schools in the States. And I just dove in there. And so I realized that that was the right decision. I think a lot of people go to college and they change majors, or they come out of college and they switch careers, and that's totally fine. But for me, it was definitely a career that I fell into and loved. I didn't know that after a few years after college, I would be running my own business, doing online learning videos. I thought maybe I'd be more in the documentary world, but that's still something I do on the side, and I can get into that a little bit more with the next questions. Question number 2. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the career? Did you feel like giving up at some point? So for the advantages, I think first, it's a very creative field. So for creative people, you have an outlet to be creative. And that's good and that's bad. What's good about it is, well, you get to be creative and it's fun. I would say more fun than some sort of boring desk job typing in numbers into an Excel spreadsheet, at least for me personally. The disadvantage of that aspect of it, though, is that you always have to be coming up with something new. That's what video and art is all about. It's all about coming up with something new. And so you can't just go to work every day thinking, I'm just going to do the same thing today as I did yesterday. And a lot of people might say, well, that's a good thing. But sometimes I wake up and I think, man, I just want to sit in front of a desk and be told what to do and just do it and know exactly what I'm going to do. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to be creative. I don't have to come up with some fresh idea. I can just do exactly what I know how to do on an assembly line. But I know at the end of the day, I would not like that type of job. But sometimes I feel like it can be hard trying to be creative all the time. One of the other advantages is it's very flexible. I think you can have a full-time job at a university or at a business or a company that needs a full-time audiovisual person, or you can be a freelancer and you can do part-time work or have your own schedule. It also, one of the advantages is gives you opportunities to travel the world, to work with a lot of other people. You get to go visit places, and you also get to affect change, really. And whether that's something as important as some sort of social justice cause or just entertaining, you get to work on projects that really make the world a better place. At least that's what I would say is the goal with most audiovisual projects that I work on anyways. And there's an ice cream truck going on in the background, driving by in the background. You might hear that. And so that's good. I guess one of the disadvantages, see, there's pros and cons to all of these things, but one of the disadvantages of that is that I think compared to other careers and college choices, it might take a little bit longer to feel like you have a steady income. And, some jobs, if you're a doctor or you're a lawyer, yeah, it takes a lot of schooling, and I would never do that because it's way too hard for me. But once you get out of school, it is probably easier to have a decent paying, steady income than if you study art or cinematography. It's going to take a lot more work in these fields to build up your income, and so that can be a disadvantage too. But overall, I think there's more advantages than disadvantages. That's why I'm in it. Your question about did you feel like giving up at some point? I think there were definitely hard times. I don't think I ever felt like giving up, but there were definitely hard times out of school. University is expensive in the United States, especially if you go to a private school like what I did at Loyola Marymount. And there were times where my student loan bills, paying for rent, paying for food, I just felt like I was never getting ahead, and I was always just trying to keep up, or I was, slipping, and I was, underwater with my bills and my loans, but I stuck with it, and now I'm in a very fortunate place to have paid off all of those loans and to be running my own business. But I don't think for me, I never felt like giving up. Not yet anyways. Question number 3. What makes a professional creative? What tips and advice would you give to someone who is starting the career now? I love this question, and I think my best advice is just to continue or start working on your own projects. Put yourself out there, do your own projects. It could just be you by yourself with a video camera or, whatever type of art it is, but in particular with video. Grab a camera, go outside, start filming, put together little clips, learn how to edit, learn how to do cinematography, learn how to direct, learn how to post it online, learn how to share it on social media. These are all skills that will be beneficial for you when you are working on bigger projects. Plus, you need to start building your portfolio. And so working on your own projects will benefit you in that sense. I know a lot of people who didn't really work on their own projects, and a lot of those people aren't working in the film industry anymore. The ones that are having the most success now are, at least what to me, it seems like the people who, since I met them, they were creating projects on their own. They weren't just making videos to pay the bills, they were also working on side projects. And that's another important thing too, is out of school, you might need to find a job that pays the bills. And you might have to work for a company doing videos that aren't that interesting to you. But on the side, keep making videos that you're passionate about. Because if you keep doing that, I know that eventually you're going to find a way to make money with that and to have a career in that. Or if it's just always a side thing, doing those side projects will feed your soul. It will keep you creative, keep you happy, compared to just having a day job and making videos for someone else. So just make projects on your own, keep doing it, and put it out there, put together a portfolio. That's my best advice. Question number 4. What project do you consider being your most significant achievement in your career so far? That's a really good question. There's 2 things. I mean, on one hand, I think my career has taken off because I started making educational videos and I started teaching people how to make videos, how to take photos, how to use motion graphics, that kind of stuff. And so there are some classes that do really well, and there's some students who take those classes and they send me messages and are like, wow, like I've never been able to do this sort of effect, but now I know how to do it. Or, wow, I just shot my first wedding and I would have never been able to do it without your class. Or, wow, it's just amazing that I can take your class like now because there is no type of education like this in the country where I'm from. And I've gotten messages like all of those, and those are the messages that keep me going and keep me motivated. So as a whole, just being able to share my knowledge with the world has been my biggest achievement, with over, across all the platforms, almost 400,000 students taking my classes now, which is just amazing. But in terms of a personal project, it'll have to be my most recent project called Strongest I'll Ever Be. It's a short documentary about my buddy Anthony Carbajal, who is a photographer. He was diagnosed with ALS disease. If you remember the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, that's what it's all about. It's also nicknamed the Lou Gehrig's disease, but he still follows his passion for photography. And this was the first passion project that I've done in a while, the first documentary, for a few years actually. And it was good to work on this project because, one, it was just fun to do with my friends. It wasn't a huge crew. We just went out for a day and shot. And so it was just fun. Two, it's a worthy cause and a worthy story to tell. And it's, using my skills to share a story with the world. I love that aspect of documentary filmmaking. And who knows, it can maybe affect and make a little bit of change. And then really just the third thing is that it's gotten a better response than a lot of any project that I've done before, and in the sense that I've submitted it to film festivals. It's gotten into over, I think, 10 festivals so far. It's played around the world. It's won a handful of awards at these festivals. And so this has kind of just proven to me that, Phil, you know what you're doing. Like, keep making documentaries, and it's inspired me to continue to make documentaries and to make more of them. It's something I need to dedicate more of my time to, because even if these documentaries aren't, paying my bills, it's an important project to work on. And I'm just excited to continue using my skills to share stories through documentary. And then your question number 5. And what professional inspired you most during your career? Oh, that's a really tough question. And the reason is because I don't know if I'm weird or not, but I don't really have a lot of idols. I never followed a specific director. I'm not into that. That you have people who are huge Steven Spielberg fans or Stanley Kubrick fans or whoever. I don't even know half the directors. I don't know cinematographer names, and maybe I should, but I was just never like that. But this is kind of a funny answer to your question, but someone who I've always looked up to is the musician Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson is a surfer, he's a musician, and he's also a filmmaker. And I've been following him on his entire journey from back when he was a surfer, and he started out with his music too, but now he makes some surf documentaries, and he's expanded into some other documentaries. And I always got this sense that he was truly following his passion and living the life that he wants to lead. And of course, he's fortunate that he has a beautiful voice and he plays the guitar well, and he can make a lot of money from his skills that way. And not everyone can do that and then be able to make films and surf whenever he wants. But at the same time, I think he's someone that I've looked up to. He's very environmentally conscious. And so if I could live that kind of life where I'm just following my passions, making documentaries, trying to make the world a better place, then I will consider my life a success and my career a success. So that's my answer to question number 5. Okay, Juliana, thank you so much for these questions. I really appreciate you asking me them. And for anyone else watching this, I hope you enjoyed it too. And I gave you a little insight into my life as a filmmaker and from the creator of videoschoolonline.com. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in another video.